Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to look into the disaster management with respect to the vulnerability profile of India. Okay, let's get started. We have to understand that the Indian subcontinent has unique geoclimatic as well as socio-political conditions that would make it vulnerable to both natural as well as man-made disasters. We could see that around 6% of the population in India is impacted by annually by exposures to various kinds of disasters. These key disasters include flood, droughts, cyclones, earthquakes, landslides, uh, avalanches. So, whether it is flood or drought, etc., is not an issue, but whenever any kind of disaster happens or whenever any kind of disaster occurs, this would result in loss of lives as well as livelihoods. As per the Planning Commission report, there are some key vulnerabilities with respect to India, and these are with respect to coastal states. We could see that, especially in the coastal states in the eastern coast as well as Gujarat, which is on the western coast. These areas are vulnerable to cyclones, and 4 crore hectare landmass is vulnerable to floods and river erosion. With respect to net zone area, 68% of the net zone area is vulnerable to drought, and 55% of total area is in seismic zones, 3rd to 5, and these areas are vulnerable to earthquakes of moderate to high degree or moderate to high density. Some Himalayan or Western Ghats are vulnerable to landslides. Vulnerability to disaster or emergency of chemical or emergencies with respect to chemical, biological, radiological, as well as nuclear disasters. This has increased on account of socio-economic development, and the changing climate also increases vulnerabilities. The occurrence of heat waves, cold waves, floods, droughts, cyclones, floods of different kinds, different intensities, this is getting increased due to climatic change as well as global warming. Further, disaster vulnerability is a function of poverty, and poverty is inextricably linked to disaster vulnerability. Poverty compels the people to compromise in matters of shelters and dwellings, and more people live in unsafe places. Moreover, we could see that the low cost material used in making of dwellings and all make it unsafe to live. Coming to the India's vulnerability profile, we could see that India is one of the it is one of the key prone areas with respect to disaster, and we could see that this is mainly due to a number of factors, both natural as well as human induced. These include geoclimatic conditions, topographical features, environmental degradation, population growth, urbanization, non-scientific development, industrialization, etc. And various hazards to which India is prone to could be broadly classified into 3 categories: hydrological or climatic related or climate related, geological, as well as technological hazards. Coming to the first category, hydrological and climate related. Under this category, we have a number of different disasters, starting with flood. As we all know, flood could be caused by heavy rainfall, inadequate capacity of rivers to carry high flood discharge, inadequate drainage, etc. Further, flash floods occur mainly because of high rate of water flow, particularly in areas with less permeability of soil. Over 40 million hectares of landmass in India is prone to flood, and 75% of total annual rainfall is concentrated over a particular area. Southwest monsoon season of 3 to 4 months from June to September and all is also known to you. As a result, you could see that there is a very heavy discharge from rivers during this period, causing widespread floods. This kind of problem is chronic in at least 10 states. From October to December every year, a large area in South India, including Tamil Nadu, the coastal regions of Andhra Pradesh, and the Union Territory of Puducherry, receives up to these areas receive up to 30% of annual rainfall. This is from the northeast monsoon, okay, and these have created or these have caused devastating floods in Chennai in 2015, more floods in Assam, Uttarakhand, Brahmaputra river cross floods, etc. Coming to cyclones, having discussed floods, let's come to cyclones. India has a very long coastline which is exposed to tropical cyclones arising in Bay of Bengal as well as Arabian Sea. Indian Ocean is one of the 6 major cyclone-prone regions in the world, and in the case of India, you could see the cyclones occur usually in April, May, as well as between October and December. The impact of cyclones is mainly confined to coastal districts, and the principal dangers from cyclones includes gales, strong winds, torrential rain, high tidal waves, etc. Now we have heat waves and cold waves, and also there we have fog. And heat waves, actually this refers to the extreme positive departure from maximum temperature in summers. Cold waves occur mainly due to extreme low temperature coupled with incursion of dry cold winds from northwest. And you have to understand the fog also, which is a kind of mist and all. And then we have thunderstorm, hailstorm, dust storm. India's central, northeastern, northwestern, and northern parts are generally affected by these kinds of problems, and the southern coastal regions are less prone to these kinds of problems. The hailstorms are more frequent in Assam, Uttarakhand, and some parts of Maharashtra. Dust storms are common in Rajasthan, MP, and Haryana. Tornadoes are very rare in India. Then we have drought, uh, which is a situation of less moisture and scarcity of water for drinking, irrigation, industrial uses, and other purpose. This is usually caused by less or deficient average rainfall over the long period. And Rajasthan, Orissa, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh are some of the states which uh, have some kind of regular drought. Most of the drought-prone areas identified by the Government of India lie in arid and semi-arid or sub-humid regions. Then we have this geological disaster like earthquake, which is impossible to be predicted, and this is considered to be very much destructive. It is impossible to make any arrangements to make preparedness against damages as well as collapses of building and man-made structures. Most vulnerable regions include Himalayan, sub-Himalayan belt, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Himalayan foreland are flanked by Arakan Yoma Felt. So this fold belt in the eastern as well as the Chaman Fault in the western area. These are seismically active regions in the world. Then tsunami. It's a displacement of large volume of body of water from uh, ocean. So this kind of disasters are seismically generated, and it is a result of abrupt deformation of seafloor resulting vertical displacement of all lying water. The east and west coast of India and island regions are likely to be affected by tsunamis. Generally, especially we can see that this kind of problems are seen in different parts of India. The Andaman Nicobar, Sumatra Island, Arc, and Maragan Makran subduction zone in north of Arabian Sea. So these are certain regions where tsunamis have occurred. Then we have landslides, which is common in the Himalayan region as well as in Western Ghats, which comprise of a series of 7 curvilinear parallel folds running along a grand arc of around 34,000 kilometers. The Western Ghats, particularly Nilgiri Hills, also are very much notorious with respect to landslides. So we have not only Nilgiri Hills but also several other regions in India are prone to landslides. Having discussed the two different kinds of disaster, let's come to the technological disaster, which include the industrial, chemical, and nuclear disaster. This will result in huge loss to lives as well as property. The hazardous industries, workers in these industries are particularly vulnerable to chemical and industrial disaster. Just think about or just try to remind you about the Bowel gas tragedy, the Union Carbide pesticides factory, methyl isocyanate leak, where lots of people have been killed. I mean, 3,000 people were killed in that incident. So, with that, we finish. That's all for today. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching. Before going, let me tell you again that I have a Telegram group as well as a Telegram channel. There have been many members there. Many people are discussing their doubts. They could make their doubts clarified and all. So you can be there. That's all. Thank you for watching.